Lilia and Sejuani already taken off the board, we still have Naafiri potentially available here for Shun.
Ooh, that would be quite interesting, and it looks like that could be the option here. This is a champion we've seen a lot of teams just put the ball in the hands of one of their players in the jungle role. A couple of junglers that, at times were like, oh, not sure if they'll be able to hard carry the game, but they've been able to do so on this Naafiri.
And it's going to be interesting because, like I was saying earlier, you typically want to see a little bit more setup for Naafiri as a jungler that has no hard crowd control. So it'll be kind of looking for what from Scout we are going to get. Maybe we get the Ahri, but even Ahri kind of wants a little bit of setup. So any amount of dodge that IG are going to have is going to make it very difficult for JDG to actually deal damage with this jungle pairing.
Azir getting first picked by IG here, a champion that both of these players know incredibly well, and Rookie is going to try to leverage that into a 2-0 statement series for IG. The Pantheon will be locked in as well.
Can also be a flex into support. We haven't seen Meiko play too many games of Pantheon, but always a possibility there. And so IG have the makings of a composition that's going to have a lot of space in the front line so that they can actually, give Rookie the time on this Azir. Now, JDG have had their fair few times of hovering some weird champions. I know we had that time where they hovered and then eventually locked in Xerath, but then immediately remade the draft. So looks like instead JDG are instead going to go for some pretty big powerhouses in the solo lanes.
Yeah, double AP solo laners coming through, and now you're really just looking for the rest of the JDG comp, something that can get them in a little bit easier. Obviously, Silas with the abscond duck can get into fights. Gwen has to kind of just sprint at you and dash forward, but something to tie the room together to make sure that these carries can get in would be huge. Was thinking the Rumble was going to come out, so a lot of AP in this game is Rumble, the typical answer into the Gwen.
I'm looking at Scout right now. He has a lot of great ultimates that he can take already. If he gets access to a Rumble, then suddenly you're in a pretty tight spot there as IG, not being able to deal with how much long range this does have. Still not the most amount of crowd control here for JDG, so we're going to be looking at what bot lane pairings we're going to be getting from these two teams. As for Gala, big priority on getting things like the Varus, getting things like his Ezreal, but you'd say the same about Peyz in particular, and we haven't seen too much Jhin recently, so it could be on the table for these two.
Yeah, I think I think Jhin will be a big boon for either of these teams, to be quite honest with you, and I do wonder what the support picks as well will be. I think that if you're IG, maybe look to ban a Rakan here, because Rakan would set up the rest of these carries really nicely. Getting a big charm onto the back line, allowing them time to get there, would be very beneficial.
And for supports, starting to kind of pinch down on the pool here with Alistar already gone. Kind of the next big one up out of the four is going to be Leona. And so pairings for Leona start to become very interesting. I think JDG are more interested in potentially moving Invictus into an Ashe angle, but it is a champion that we have seen start to fall in priority here in the LPL generally, as well as something that Gala has not really been super keyed in on so far in 2025.
No, not at all. I do wonder... Yep, I was going to say, is Ezreal going to get banned or is it going to get picked? Because it would have been excellent for Gala. Instead, he'll have to opt into something else here. And not that one, as Misfortune unavailable. Nah, it's going to be kind of tough. You're really thinking of champions with escapes and like Corki.
He's telling him, Taney's like, you can't pick that one.
Xayah maybe, but it just doesn't feel that good because we don't have that much dive yet. And it's a champion that generally we haven't been really happy about seeing. Instead, they'll go in for their support pick or a potential flex if they're that crazy and get a pop.
Okay. Poppy, I do really love, especially playing into stuff like Naafiri and the Silas. So just another ultimate that Scout can take. Ashe is interesting because she gives opportunities for JDG to start and find fights onto, things like this Rumble and the Azir, but does start to kind of get into a tricky situation when you are playing against a Pantheon and the Rumble. Azir can obviously punish this, so already from JDG. They're going with a composition that can be a bit risky here. There's not that big amount of setup. There's also not very many tanks on their side, so a lot of damage here and some late game scaling, but I'm looking at IG and I'm really favoring what we're getting from them.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, Shun is going to have to be very careful about using his invulnerability. Allah's hollowed mists are going to have to be on point because outside of that, as you said, not tanky and a lot of damage over on IG. They're going to put the Corki down in the bottom lane, and no matter who you pair it with, whether it be a Poppy or a Pantheon, you'll have a lot of damage if you're able to catch somebody by surprise in the 2v2 because of how squishy they are. So even then, there are some concerns that you could get blown up even though it is a double range bot lane.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure what kind of support we were getting, because there we go.
Yep.
All right, we're still swapping here. But we'll kind of see whether or not this is going to end up being the case for these two teams. As for IG, focus is going to be in these solo lanes. You have priority from the mid lane. Sylas is going to have to trade a lot of HP to be able to trade with Sylas. And if Nefiri doesn't get interrupted, I think there's a very real possibility that we could start to see JDG be a bit more competitive in this game. But I have some qualms and some reservations about their composition coming into game 2 here.
I do too, Alk. It's going to be really risky. This is a sports car-esque composition. You are looking to go hard, go fast, and hopefully not crash. We'll see if that is the what's going to happen, really, because if these solo laners don't get going and IG doesn't give them enough time to get going, I mean, JDG will just be very quickly shut down.
Yeah. Side note, I've been completely traumatized by this Poppy skin as a set 11 TFT player.
Okay. I don't play TFT, so I don't know.
Witchcraft, Bastion, this champion was an abomination. That's as far as I'm going to go. We can get back into game. JDG fans out in force. It is their home arena, but I think you always got to take into consideration that any and all IG fans are going to come out and support the boys, especially for a roster that feels like the first time in a long time we've actually seen IG make a push for a super team, where you look at their rosters in past couple of years, it has been almost fully developmental and picking up young rookies or developing players.
Yep, all homegrown stuff, and this time around, the opportunity presented itself, and they said, you know what, we are going to deviate from our path. This is an organization that has been around for quite some time, but hasn't really seen the success as it was able to in the past. And they're hoping to right those wrongs, and it's going to start here, AlkBattery, because if IG win this series, get the 2-0 over JDG, you got to be feeling really good, especially with the manner they won the first game, right? Because while it did get close near the end, I mean, I think IG played a very clean game.
For sure, yeah, and would definitely, I think, buy a lot of, goodwill for them and the rest of the team when we talk about an IG that fortunately has been a bit inconsistent. Going up against another top team in JDG would definitely buy them some stock here in the LPL, as already starting to get some trading, but junglers starting on opposite sides of the map. I don't think we're going to get as many shenanigans as we did last time, and while Nefiri can go for invades into a Poppy, feels a little bit more rough than the Vi matchup.
Yeah, it's a little scary. I know Shun is probably like, man, I really want to get in there. I want to pay them back for what they did to me last game, but don't do it, bro. It is just a bait. We'll see what objectives these teams end up wanting to go for. Giving Grubs over to a Gwen is always a very, very strong proposition. But of course, having to deal with a Rumble makes things difficult. If Scout is able to get to an early fight up there, could equalize it.
I see what you did there. I'm not happy about it, but I see what you did there. So Sun is trying to invade, mostly just to get vision and be a bit annoying. I don't think he has the damage to do this. However,
no, he's not. He's going all for it, brother.
Oh. So he has the dogs? He didn't get wallbanged by Jiejie. Missing
Right,
and Peyz just taking control. It's this double range matchup that we kind of alluded to during draft.
Yeah, shoving them off. Meiko getting very low, and so is Gala too. So it looks like the IG bot lane will have to back here. And if they do, this means that Shun can stay in the jungle and cause problems for Jiejie. Meiko's already canceled his back, but the bot lane's up here. Turnabout is fair play.
Jiejie's like, guys, can I please get some of my
The dogs
camps,
are going
please?
after.
Oh my god.
Okay, wait, yeah, Jiejie had to go in to try to prevent Meiko from going down. That was very close.
What does this mean for Gala now? Because he's already been pushed off of his wave pretty early on. You see the CS discrepancy starting to grow. It's even a plate going over to Peyz. And now that they've cut this open, they can kind of repeat this, go topside. Allah's just picking up one final wave, and then they even set themselves up for grubs in a little bit of time.
Shun doing the most here to disrupt Jiejie. Meiko and Jiejie get back here. We'll be able to secure the blue buff for Jiejie. As the crab has been started up and taken away by Shun as well. Now the question is, will we see a counter invade come through on the Poppy? Already getting in there for some vision. I don't think it'll be much more than that.
Shun, just do your topside camps, brother. You have all these camps. You still haven't taken your blue side. Oh no, please. You've tried to play the split map. Now they're even potentially trying to invade onto Poppy here.
Oh, we're going to make a play onto Allah as he swapped down. Allah no teleport down to half HP against Meiko and Gala, just trying to get these two back in the game a little bit EXP-wise.
Very tough. And instead of playing for topside and going towards his camps, look at where Shun is coming. He's going to go right towards his bottom lane, help Allah out. Maybe even they bring over Scout. Scout is getting pinged out now.
Yeah, this is going to be a problem for Gala and Meiko. This wave is starting to get a little thin. Shun is going to go over the wall, try to target Meiko. Now turning on to Gala. Gala's got a Valkyrie, but Scout is really quick on the uptick here. Gala is just going to go in, realizing that he's going to go down. It'll be first blood to Scout.
So, Rookie's just been catching this wave. Maybe there's an angle here with TheShy. He is halfway up to level 5. Good job coming in from Peyz to just throw out a single hawk shot and get some vision. See if Jiejie was going for any kind of an invade. It'll be a trade of topside scuttle. Now the bot lane of IG is going to be heading up to this lane. And finally, 6 minutes into this game almost, Shun will finally start his topside camp for the first time.
He went to the monkey school of camp dropping.
Yeah, he also may have gone to the monkey school of not winning games. So kind of, you know, sharing the limelight there. We get this replay of the bottom lane crash from IG, and just a very good punish. I like the fact that we got to see Scout make the roam. Honestly, if they make the decision a little earlier that they're probably going to die anyway, Gala just focuses the wave a bit sooner, and you're able to get a little bit more gold for yourself. But aside from that, just a single kill going over to Scout's not that bad.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because they make this play on no vision, but then they're also like, well, surely Shun is on the top side of the map, clearing his top side, right? And he just wasn't there, able to punish. And now,
oh my god, Peyz.
Now on the top side. Hold on, Peyz.
Space him, walk him.
Flash, and now here comes the turnaround. Gala getting low, so is Missing. Missing's got a flash away. Meiko in the mid of Peyz, but is going to fall. Peyz gets the kill.
Peyz has just been spacing them on this Ashe, and now Gala is like, well, if I stay here, I'm pretty sure there's a single W with my name on it. That just takes me down here. They're even jumping over the wall. They're trying to make this play. Gala wants to keep this wave. He'll get it now. He'll spot Shun now.
I think
Shun does have flash.
All right, is he going to go after him? I think it might be worth it. He's going to go untargetable, trying to get close. The dogs are barking, and they take him down.
Feat of Warfare has been accomplished for JDG. So not feeling too bad about that. And Gala misses out on another wave. Picture in picture, we get to see Scout almost solo kill Rookie. Good shuffle out from our Emperor in the mid lane. But this bottom lane coming in for JDG is really starting to put the screws onto IG, and it's becoming a bit problematic. JDG were also able to grab 3 grubs during that time, and now they're going to swap back their bottom lane. They now have access to the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, so any play alongside Shun on this Neferi, who has the ultimate, is a pretty good play for the most part coming in from JDG.
And this is a true disaster for IG because, you know, you see all the carries except for Ala have kills. Ala had a slight CS lead that got equalized by TheShy a little bit, but even the CS lead in the mid lane for Rookie is dealt with by the kill that Scout was able to get. And IG hovering around the top side, looking to maybe make a play onto Ala means that they will drop this dragon too.
Can IG get enough off of this play? It's just
He's
Ala
got
by
exhaust.
himself. They're losing the
All right.
dragon.
They're going to CC lock him and exhaust Meiko. Going to have to look for a potential re-dive here. But this minion wave is completely gone. And Chain of Crystal Arrow lands on the Jiejie. No shot! They turn it around.
And from the other side of the map, they're able to at least go even. This will be Ala still having to give up this wave and a potential plate here for the bottom lane of IG. But another kill goes their way. Now they can even take this bottom lane turret. How many plates can they get for Peyz and missing? This 2v2 has looked on fire in this second game here.
Brothers, this looks like a go next angle, man. This is tough stuff.
Maybe.
For IG. I mean, now we have to, it's on TheShy, right? And it's on Rookie to go and make these plays. Take a look at this replay. It was a solid exhaust on Meiko. And Ala was just able to get to the other side and Peyz the marksman.
Just incredible. Nothing else to say here. I mean, they weren't able to make that play happen, even through the exhaust coming in from Ala, usually only used for the lane matchup versus the Rumble, but really excellent use of, you know, him being able to work alongside that Ashe landing the arrow. So good stuff coming in from JDG. They've had a very strong control of the game so far, and that is kind of what we have to expect when you look at these matchups. The double range matchup of bottom lane, the fact that Jiejie was able to get success, or Shun was able to have successful invades onto Jiejie's Poppy. Now they need to continue the snowball, keep finding more victories. 40 seconds before the grubs. If they can find that, then I mean, how much damage they get on side lanes is basically going to come down to whether or not IG put multiple members to reinforce them. So, feeling good about their options. The one part that I'm a little worried about right now is Scout, half a level down on his opponent. Fully Andre's completed here for Rookie. And he is kind of the one member alongside TheShy that can kind of bring this game back together.
And if I'm IG, I'm looking for a bit of a fight here because despite the fact you're down 2,000 gold, Gala and Meiko, strong early game champions, especially with the Sheen in the back pocket of Gala. You still have a lot of strength and a lot of ability to scrap in these early fights, even if Rookie's not at his strongest. But the Pop Blossom going to try to catch him by surprise. The root goes down to the Gala, so he can't really continue the fight. Teleport coming through on the backside. Here we go. Scout joins the fight. He's got the equalizer too. He's going to target out Gala here. Abscond abduct, dead. Meiko goes down too. Arrow goes wide. Jiejie flashes over the wall, but the stolen equalizer will force him out.
And Rookie's able to get out of this. Scout almost finds Jiejie. Missing playing with this Nico clone so well, just blocking the Poppy ult there, stopping any potential chance from JDG losing this fight. And now that'll be 6 grubs going over to the blue side here. And any amount of turret damage they're able to get, whether that's in mid lane or even preparing for other plays, you know, Sun is now in a really accelerated state and a very strong opener here, 12 minutes in from JDG.
Yeah, Scout's got his Rod of Ages too. Ala's got his first item. This is really, really tough to play out if you're IG. Man, all right, so what's next, right? You've got the dragon in 2 minutes. Do you have that little power if you're IG that you can't even fight for this either? And if that's the case, AlkBattery, is there ever a time you're going to be strong unless you're at like 50 minutes, 6 items?
It has to be like 2 or 3 items, right? Like Trinity Force finish for Gala is an opening here. Maybe they find something onto Scout.
This would be
There's
great.
a Pantheon ult though to match.
Members. Yep, and it looks like he will go down. We're going to get our first kill. It's over to TheShy.
And now how much turret damage can he actually get? Because we're already seeing JDG not in a great spot to push their waves right now. It's a mid wave that's just now going to be caught by Peyz. And TheShy, for the most part, has been able to hold his own versus Ala 2 games in a row now. And with the assistance of his jungler, definitely kind of buys himself a little bit of space and alone time, as JDG will have to slow down their efforts in this game. again, something that we saw in the last game where Scout getting picked off in a side lane ended up being a pivotal point of IG's win condition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that if it gets slowed down though, they're probably okay with it, right? Ala looking for a little bit more agency this game, and Scout obviously on the Sylas. Sylas will grow in power as the game progresses, and really, if the game slowed down for the next 2.5 minutes, I think that's okay if you're JDG, because IG is almost forced to fight around this Rift Herald because of the 6 grubs.
Maybe they just try to make an overload on one side. I think it's hard when you don't have this Pantheon ult anymore. You're basically trapped to this side of the map.
Yeah.
Missing doing a really good job of just trying to get vision, playing off of the priority of Peyz. And it's still 2 minutes before this Herald. You have this dragon spawning in bottom lane. I wonder if IG just say, look, we're probably going to have to give up a little bit of space here. Peyz, though, taking some trades. There's no flash from Gala or Meiko, so I think it's a bit tough.
Yeah, it is incredibly difficult to actually try to make a play, and I think you're right. I think you just kind of forget the dragon. You look to farm up, get to your item spikes. Your solo laners have their first items. Jiejie just went back and he picked up the Sundered Sky, so you're really just waiting on Gala to hit that Trinity Force. Meanwhile, up on the top side, Enchanted Crystal Arrow coming through, and it lands flush onto Rookie, and another nice arrow coming through from Peyz.
And now you see the pings coming out. I mean, JDG will be able to push this top lane wave, use their bottom lane pair to walk into mid, and after this next wave hits in mid, then they're just going to be looking to turn on this dragon. TheShy is going to be able to push and get some vision. IG for right now. Looks like they're going to prioritize this objective. Shun and Missing are in the area and making their way back onto this part of the map. Ala's going to pick up the first turret of the game, however, or yeah, the first turret using those 6 grubs. And it's going to be a lot of gold now here for JDG, compounding on some of this early game that we've seen.
Yeah, 15 minutes, it's a 3,000 gold lead. You're like, your early game bot lane did not pay off. You're hanging your hat on Rookie for your late game insurance policy. He's not looking like he's going to get there. I mean, JDG... We were like, all right, Shun has to be the guy, has to be the big carry, but it's been everybody. Everybody's played so well. They're playing maybe better than IG was playing as an entire team in that first game, and I'm really wowed by the way they've been able to fight back in this one after losing a tough game.
I think the part that I'm the happiest about here for JDG is the fact that they gave a lot more agency to a player like Peyz. The Misfortune definitely can be a bit lockstep in how she wants to play the game. So having him have this champion that allows him to kind of just do what every AD carrier's dream is, which is just glide, right? Just let him auto attack, let him space their opponents, and kind of show the hands on this incredible talent in the bottom lane. But again, playing around the priorities, I think that JDG have played this game very smart, especially. So we'll see now. They're getting prepped around this around this top side of the map as JDG. They know that if they find one other member, if Meiko even shows in bottom lane,
here we go.
Maybe that's their opener.
All right, the steadfast presence kept Jiejie upright for now, but I mean, these dogs, they are barking up the right tree as Jiejie forced all the way back to the base. That means the Rift Herald should go the way of JDG, and the nightmares for IG continue.
They're going to try to make this play on the bottom side. Missing is making his way here, and there was pings coming out as he's clearing vision. Ala gets to survive. 6 grubs and a Herald. JDG are taking this game quite clinically, I might add, as it's really the gold lead coming in from the 2 players that we saw make big strides in this game, Shun and Peyz.
We talked about how consistency really remaining a key issue for both teams. Obviously, JDG had looked quite a bit better, but then they're upset by FPX, threw it all into flux. And Meiko is going all the way in, and he might be all the way back soon. Punted out of the fight, though, and down goes Ala, so it ends up being a kill over the Poppy. So a nice little pick by IG.
But what does this actually get? I mean, it's a kill, right? Like, at the very least, that's a lot that you can grab for yourself, but in terms of vision, they've only gotten very shallow vision on this bottom side. They're very focused on making sure that TheShy is safe on this Rumble, that he's going to kind of be like their insurance policy as this game goes on. But even his gold lead is not that significant. He isn't able to take this bottom lane turret. He's barely even able to kind of help his team around the map. Gala and TheShy have just been, or TheShy and Rookie have been picking up waves on side lane. But the big pain point for me right now is just this bottom lane. Meiko is not able to make very many plays here so far, and Gala, he's close to getting his second item, but has kind of felt kind of not great so far on this Corki so far.
Not at all. Not looking very good, and it's tough when you play into the double range bot lane Corki. You know, they took a lot of power out of his rockets, so not really known for his range, and you know, even you're worried lane-wise, levels 1 through 5, right? It became really impossible to play early, and you're just kind of on the back foot at that point. Now, Shun and friends invading the jungle of Jiejie. He rounds the corner and finds the Goon Squad as they hop on top of him, and the kill goes to Scout.
Doesn't have the ultimate anymore, and even though the steadfast presence got a lot of work done, it is not enough for IG. And their jungler falls, like you were saying, multiple jungle camps now going to start getting taken away. Potentially a look in mid here from Missing, as he does have Flash and Pop Blossom. You have to imagine, kind of pick of the litter in terms of what JDG are going to be having access to. They can go for this dragon that is spawning in a minute's time. There's also an Otacon that I'm sure they are not too afraid of picking up. Chud's going to be very close to finishing a second item here with the Black Cleaver. And so from this point in the game, what we should expect from IG is continue to make plays around their priority. You can kind of cheat vision by using the Hawk Shot, and it is almost a death sentence now for Invictus Gaming to ever really walk into their jungle unless they have multiple players on their side, or they just have vision of, you know, hey, some people from JDG are not on this side of the map. Oh, we're making a play?
Pop Blossom Missing gets the kill. Everybody trying to hop on top of Meiko. Doesn't care. They don't care about the turret. Ala gets the kill. He ends up dying for it, so it could have been a lot worse, but it's already pretty bad as the turret falls.
This game is cooked. Like 4,000 gold at this point, and yes, IG can scale, but you look across the board, already 2 items completed for this Ashe. Shin is already incredibly powerful. Trying to make this play on a Scout.
Okay. Whoa, that was a little funky there, but Scout is able to walk out for now. He's got to try to loop around. He ends up on Vision, and Gala is here. And it does look like Scout will fall, although, okay, yeah, it's a little worrisome whenever an AD carry has to go into
It's gold, but like, we forced so many, we had to send 3 people up for that play. They still were able to make this play in the bottom lane, and now we traded our Pantheon ult. It is, I mean, a pretty big loss here for Invictus. And, I mean, JDG, they just made a play on the bottom side of the map where they're able to take a kill, you know, get some summoners. TheShy no longer has Flash, neither does Gala or Meiko. So, I mean, as IG now, you're kind of just watching the game crumble faster and faster around you. 6 Grubs and a Herald now is just going to completely blow open the base.
First turret has fallen. And I didn't even notice on the replay what happened here. A little bit
That's how Gala loses his Flash. Okay.
Yep. A little bit of disruption from Shun. As JDG, the lead's still hovering about 3,000. It's been kind of metronoming between 2 and 3 lately, but really this game is hanging by a thread for IG this early on. And one knockout punch from JDG could put this one away as they will secure their second dragon.
The only hope that Invictus Gaming's fans right now, they're holding on to 2018, bro. They're like, okay, TheShy Rookie, you're going to have to make some kind of play that gets us back into this game, because with where this game is at right now, we are on the precipice of JDG just outright winning, especially, again, 5 Grubs. Maybe this Otacon is kind of the battlegrounds in which they look. I think this is very fake from Meiko.
Uh-oh. All right, Meiko not taking that much damage. Pop Blossom not going to land on anybody, but now
he's just
he
dead.
Can't block all the damage. Yeah, he just dies to Allah, and it is not his best game.
Nope. You know, part of one of the struggling factors of IG has unfortunately been this bottom lane. Meiko dies a lot just to try to make some things happen. Unfortunately, doesn't always have the backup to try to support him. And Gala has kind of had some misgivings. We can kind of see it in this game, but even in the Varus game, still falling individually behind his counterpart in Peyz on the Misfortune. So This is now for JDG, gonna then be putting the finishing touches on this game as Otacon's gonna be started up. It's gonna run right into the timer of Baron being there as well. Don't think we're gonna see too much of a soul with how this game is going right now, and we need to see the soul lanes of IG step up if they want to keep their chances alive.
Well, the false life buff does go over to JDG. Here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow from downtown, does not land on anybody. So IG don't lose anybody, but they lost the Otacon, and false life being on JDG means this game just got that much harder.
You know, as long as nothing happens within the next 2 minutes, which can't guarantee, you're going to say, okay, look, we lost the Otacon. If we can outlast the buff, then Scout no longer has teleport. If he's on a side lane, that's something that we can try to punish. We haven't seen too many plays with Meiko involved. It's just, you know, he hasn't been able to really ult too many places and get much work done.
No, it's so bad, man. I have no idea what they're going to be able to do in order to actually try to recover from this. It seems unrecoverable, right? Like, again, it has to be, you were talking about getting to, like, 3 item spikes. Sure, Rookie's almost there.
Okay. I'm trying to see if there's really much of an angle here coming in for IG. I mean, they lose the poke war. They don't really have very much range. Kind of have to make this play. This might be it, though. I wish Scout had just done that backwards. Okay,
here
there
we go. Pushed in, but the Pop Blossom hits multiple members. Rookie's got to go gold and put the withdrawals. Meiko actually manages to get out of there, and doesn't look like IG is going to get anything more, but a little bit of gold for sending Scout back to the base.
Poppy ult is used, but look at how many summoner spells they're able to grab. Meiko and Rookie no longer having those two available to themselves. And that Poppy ult, I think, basically saves the entire play. If anything else was used, if that wasn't able to get anything done, then that was potentially an opening for them. Seer is just going to teleport to this wave. And I think, Yanni, we are waiting. We got a Baron spawning in 8. There's still 30 seconds for some of these Otacons to be used. You can already see that JDG are starting to posture around this objective.
Yeah, we're in the Baron waiting room, and there's no Zonias for Rookie. There's no Flash for Rookie. I mean, he's just not much of a threat right now, and he is IG's biggest threat at the moment. You're going to need something incredible here. You're going to need to find a Rumble Ultimate that hits many people, and what you don't want to find is the entirety of JDG in your jungle. Jiejie trying to get away, did get rooted up, but the rest of the squad's on him. He's got to flash away.
Ooh, Gwen
coming down for Rookie, but Gwen, as you said, coming in from behind, looking to split the team apart. Rookie gets engaged on, and below his turret, the Emperor stands tall, but will eventually fall. The Equalizer coming through, but it doesn't do that much damage. TheShy trying to flash on targets, but they just get to walk away.
Okay. They get out of that. We're going to see them start up the Baron here. I feel like this is a bit, a bit wary as to if they can start this. They're half HP. They're going to continue to try to go for this.
All right, Pop Blossom coming through.
Oh.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Tough.
Great job, JDG. You won this game fair and square. Very dominant showing from them.
Yeah.
Cool. They get themselves the Baron. Meiko is just going to have to watch as former teammates and former Worlds winners are going to be taking this. And honestly, only fair that we kind of get a full game series here from these two. It'll be our 6th series to go all the way. Or 5th series, all 15 games we had prayed for. And that is going to deliver here.
You know, we thought from the jump that this series was going to deliver. And it absolutely has. Just game 2 not really delivering in the way we expected. You know, we expected, I think, every game to be pretty hotly contested, but, you know, as you said, a really impressive start to finish performance from JDG. You know, perhaps one of the most dominant wins we've seen between some of the better teams in the league, right? There's been a lot of games where we're like, okay, you know, we really want to see the Team A put away Team B because we know they can, but JDG really put that to task here in Game 2.
And part of that was, again, the fact that, you know, there's just more agency for this bottom lane pair to actually get stuff done, and punishing the fact that the 2v2 from IG has not been the most solid. We get to see, finally, TheShy and Ala get their 1v1. It goes over to JDG, and, yeah, I mean, they've got 6 scrubs. This game has been over for at least 10 minutes. And I mean, it's just going to kind of be, can they actually end the game? I know that IG are making it very difficult for them to do that with Azir and Rumble constantly.
Yeah, IG aren't going to roll over, but there's not really too much you can do. All right, you know, we stunned Gala. Good job. I think we're still waiting for everybody to just kind of get together on sides here. You know, we have Scout split pushing on his own. We have Shun shoving in the mid lane on his own, trying to knock down this turret. Missing will finally move over. So the split push game hasn't really been strong. I'm sorry, the Baron setup game has not been that strong, but we're starting to get there.
Okay. I'm just really happy that we're getting this game from JDG, because I think it would have been really tough for a team that was at the top of the table to suddenly fall to FPX and then crumble to an IG roster that has been inconsistent. I guess we're seeing more of that here today. I think holes in their gameplay, again, have been around how they get their bot lane involved in a lot of games. So good job from JDG to kind of exploit that weakness and play towards their strength, which has been Peyz, and by extension now coming into Split 2, Missing, who has, I think, really leveled up his play in particular. I know that Nautilus game had a few toughies there, but he is kind of the building block for this JDG roster, has been a part of the roster now for at least 2 years, and he is the franchise player. There we go!
Yeah, he heard you, bro! He's like, I gotta put on for AlkBattery, and he certainly did in the what looks like it could be the game-winning fight. Ala is pretty low. They're gonna turn on to TheShy. Shun goes all the way in. And game one was Big Bros getting it done, but little bro Shun gets it done with the rest of his squad. The second Nexus turret will fall. Meiko trying to get to the back line. We get a kill on the Missing to ruin his perfect KDA. How dare you? That's so damn rude. But what's ruder is the Nexus falling, and the series evened at 1.
Okay, 1-1 here for both of these teams. Playing with their food a little bit is JDG, but good stuff all around. I think solid performances from the players that we expected coming into draft. We talked about Peyz and Missing on this bottom lane pair. Shun being able to kind of use the fact that he has priority from his bottom lane, invades onto Jiejie, and kind of puts them at the back foot very early on. I feel like that is a through line that we've seen. Disrupting early jungle paths has made it very difficult for both of these teams to continue to succeed and find success in the game.
Yeah, we've seen the teams crumble around that, you know, and a lot of it is having to do with the fact that early on in these games, these lanes are not able to move over to help. And I think that's just a symptom of the at-large meta from what we see from some of these champions. You know, obviously, like, a champion like Ryze in game 1 can move around, but is still exceptionally weak early. I mean, Azir, I'm not afraid of an Azir trying to defend a jungle invade. You know, that's like not one of the champions I'm afraid of. But this bot lane not getting going with your aggressive Corki Pantheon, very concerning.
That's why we had questions as to how exactly they were going to be able to pilot this. Gala and Meiko have not been the 2v2 bot lane that is super focused on laning phase. So it was quite interesting to see them take a pair that has a lot of skirmishing power very early on in comparison, especially into a double ranged matchup there. So I think they weren't necessarily expecting to see the Meiko come on through for Missing, but I think that now there's a lot of questions coming into this third game here. I think Rookie has now played 2 really fantastic games despite everything considering, and even TheShy on the Rumble, kind of the game crumbled around this bottom lane and specifically the jungler. So I think now we are in a really interesting spot in this series where there's a lot of carries that are gone. Maybe we start to see some of those older champions start to pick through. I know that Mbessa is a champion that we still haven't really gotten to see here, and Vi is another one that hasn't been making it through a lot of the ban tables.
Yeah, the Vi pick for either of these junglers is very strong. Also quite resilient. You're still able to make an impact even if you get behind a little bit. Once you hit level 6, you know, you can say, hey, I'm going in, the rest of the team can fall in line. It's been one of Jiejie's most picked on the season. I think it actually is his most picked, but, you know, keeping that off the table from these junglers, as you said, very important. And, you know, for IG, I just worry, you know, we have talked about their lack of consistency coming through. You know, Gala and Meiko had a stinker this game. TheShy, as you said, has actually had 2 pretty decent games, even though this game was difficult to play. We're due for a Shy game where he does not play very well. And I think IG.
Let's get the
needs to
Italy
be
out, boys.
Firing on all cylinders in order to come back and try to take the series 2-1, or else if he's not on, man, I mean, I think JDG has been pretty good from top to bottom.
JDG has been, I think, the more consistent roster, especially in Split 2. I think if you would have told me this in Split 1, maybe this is a little bit more even, especially when we saw the Split 2 placements between these two teams. But when I look at these, when I'm looking at these two teams, I am really impressed with how JDG consistently have been able to use Peyz, how Scout has leveled up his game, and Allah's getting more and more in tune with the rest of the team. So I am tentatively very excited. The fact that we are going to 3 is not too unexpected, especially with how LPL has been trending, but I am merely hoping that we get a very competitive game here in number 3.
Yeah, I would much rather have a game 1 than a game 2, because while it is always nice to watch a true masterclass out of a very skilled team bringing to heel another skilled team, we're here for bangers, man. We're not here for, oh, wow, what a stomp. No. We want the good stuff. This is what you come for when you watch the LPL, and I certainly hope this is what we're going to get. All right, Alk, who's going to be our MVP? Because I think a lot of guys made an impact. I think Missing did well. I think Peyz did well. Those Peyz arrows were fire.
Yeah, if it isn't Peyz, it's Shin. Like, Shin had a really good carry game, and that is just one of the strengths of a player like Shin. The fact that he can have games like this. His Nidalee was previously undefeated until, unfortunately, a few games in playoffs were the ones to take that down in Split 1. But he has always been that player that has, like, that carry play style in him. I think of his Kindred that he is so famous for. You think about even some of his Wukong games from very early on of last year. He was one of the best junglers at being able to just find early action and take the game within his own hands. So I am tentatively really excited. Again, I think that there's a very real possibility that IG are able to bounce back, especially coaching staff-wise. Danny has basically had to babysit TheShy for multiple years now, and he's like the only coach, it seems, that is willing to step up and take the trade there. So a lot of comfort there coming in for the IG boys.
And I love that you're highlighting the jungle, because we still have a lot of really good picks available. Obviously, we're not really thinking that Vi is going to make it past the ban phase, but Xin Zhao still on the table. Skarner still on the table. Maokai, Viego, if we want to see another carry game. Now, I'd say, hey, if Shun is going to play that well on the Nefiri, obviously different champions. Nefiri really strong with untargetability and dashes and whatnot. Hey, you know what? Throw him on Viego game. Let him cook against a team that he really wants to get wins against.
Yeah, I would definitely prefer to see Jiejie on his Viego. It would just be way too... He's just way too good at this champion, right? And I wonder what mid lane carries we're going to get from these two, because now we've had some different games. We've had the Victor. We've now had as well the... Oh, we're back?
It's really funny. My internet actually went out that
nice.
time. That was crazy.
Oh, wait. Yanni, speak for me, brother.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello?
All right. I thought looked like you were muted for a second. Yeah.
I hope not.
I'm looking forward to the mid lane matchup right now, because this has been, I think, the most contentious out of all of our matchups so far.
Yeah, taking a look at like some of the options here, obviously Talia has been regularly banned. I'm thinking like Ari, Orianna, maybe if we want to dig that deep. And then like we're starting to get into the stuff that these guys really don't play as much. As our MVP is going to be Peyz, to no one's surprise. Well called out by you, AlkBattery, as he was